Hi guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brooke if you guys are new here. Today is going to be a video all about living alone. I'm going on my, I guess this is now my second year living alone. All through college and stuff like that, I lived with roommates, so definitely it's an adjustment. And I get asked a lot from you guys, you know, pros and cons, would I recommend it, and just overall tips. In short, would I recommend it? Yes, 100%. Of course, if you have like the means to do so and stuff. I think there's pros and cons of both. Obviously, like sometimes do I miss, you know, that roommate environment and like living with my best friends, of course. And I think that's so fun. I think that's a really important part of like growing up kind of, because you learn kind of how to coexist with people, even if it may not be like a romantic partner, like it's still friends. But honestly, I have fallen in love with living alone. Is it lonely? It's sometimes, I guess, kind of, but it's really all what you make of it. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my top tips on living alone if you guys are like newly living alone or just kind of adjusting. If you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. I post videos all the time, multiple times a week, all about my life here now in New York City, adulting, and just figuring it all out. First up, safety. I think this is like everyone's biggest question. I feel like when living alone, I am personally one of those really like jumpy, scaredy cat people that I convince myself that someone's in my apartment like every day. And there are definitely things you can do to help yourself. I didn't install my own lock, but putting on a deadbolt or something to your door. When I lived in Boston, my dad put on like one of those extra little chain things so that if someone tried to open my door, I do live in an apartment, by the way, so this is different, I guess, if you live in a house, but I'm in like an apartment building, you know, so there's like multiple units and stuff. But definitely do what you need to do. There's this thing called a master lock that like blocks your door. I don't use that anymore because I know it's a fire hazard, but if it makes you feel more comfortable, like you can use that. Also, video camera security systems, like if you live in more of like a condo style place or something that you are equipped to do that. I can't put video cameras like in my hallway, so it doesn't really make sense for me to do that, but whatever will give you peace of mind. For so many people living alone, it's just like getting over that fear of like the safety element of it. And I often, you know, have to talk myself off the ledge, like no one's coming for me, like I'm okay. I also live in a building now with a doorman, so I do feel a lot more secure because of that. But I understand that like that's not what everybody does, and it's obviously a privilege that I have. But I think that there are little things that you can do to kind of monitor your security, and definitely look into it if you are scared of that stuff, because I think it will give you so much more peace of mind and you'll just feel way more comfortable in your space. I definitely feel more comfortable in this space than in my old space. I just feel like it's just more secure. There's not just like random people walking around in the building and stuff like that. Also, when you're like visiting or touring units, wherever, definitely keep that front of mind. All right, next up is making it homey, and that is really whatever it means to you. To some people, it's, you know, getting a good TV. To some people, it's like, you know, making sure your bed is super comfortable. I just like to decorate the space in my own way and like put my own unique spin on it, and that obviously isn't something that happens overnight. Like I'm just slowly decorating now, and I've been here for like almost a month, but it does make you feel way more like comfortable, and it's like your space and it feels like you belong there, which I feel like that's like so cheesy to say, but otherwise it's just like a stark apartment. And obviously everybody has their own styles, and like do what makes you happy, you know. If you want it more plain, like keep it that way, but I feel like by putting your own spin on it and making it homey, whatever that means to you, it will help a lot. This is kind of just an independence thing that I think you're gonna have to work on, especially, or just like be cognizant of if you are going to be living alone. But by living alone, you end up doing a lot of things alone, including, you know, grocery shopping, just general errands. If you want to go like grab a coffee or something, pretty much you do that alone, unless you like are making a plan, like you have a coffee date or like lunch or something with someone. But I'm not like calling up my friends like, hey, do you want to go grocery shopping with me? Like I just do that on my own. So definitely practice getting comfortable with that, whatever that means for you. Is it like, I know for some people it's like the awkwardness of it, so maybe you just like put in headphones, or if you're like getting coffee by yourself, like bring your computer. I don't really know. I've always been a very independent person. I think that's like my nature, so I'm really comfortable going out, kind of entering the world on my own. But I know for some people this is like a great struggle, and I'm definitely not downplaying that, but it's hard for me to like sit here and like give you tips. I feel like you just have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, like get over it. And also it's just good practice for the future, you know what I mean? No matter what stage of life you're at, if you are, you know, in your 20s, 30s, or even above, like I think that's such a important thing to learn, is just how to be comfortable doing things on your own. And then you can kind of discover, you know, what makes you happy and get in your routine of it all. And like I think over time you will find it enjoyable. It's just in the beginning it can be kind of scary. I definitely find the excitement in it now, which I know is cheesy, and I think you guys will too if you're struggling now, but just getting over those first few times. But also just be cognizant of it. Like, you know, if you're thinking about living alone, just keep in mind like that these are a lot of the things that you do when you are alone. Next up, this is especially applicable in COVID times because we're not really leaving the house much, or at least I know I'm really not. I'm home like most days, all day. The importance of background noise. I also work from home too, so I'm just like always home even in normal times. But I find that when I'm doing something, whether it be on my computer or even if I'm cooking, cleaning, doing anything like that, a way that I feel less alone or just like feel the presence of other people is by listening to a podcast, watching YouTube video, Netflix, Audible. This is not sponsored, but I just try to listen to something. Of course, it's nice if it's like informative and I'm learning something, but even if it's just like, I've watched Gossip Girl a million times and I just have that on the TV while I'm like cooking dinner, I feel like I have the presence of something there, but it's not. It's honestly kind of weird, and I feel like you're like playing the tricks with your brain, but for me, it's just that comfortable feeling. Podcasts are great too because it's just audio, so it's like really, you don't have anything that you should be looking at or whatever it is. I mean, this is just like a great tip if you work from home at all, but if you are, you know, genuinely alone and like feel like you want human stimulation or interaction, like definitely try this one. Next up is you gotta put yourself out there, make plans. When you live alone, it's often easy for people to, I hate to be like this, but like forget about you, because I feel like with normal dynamics of roommates, it's like, hey, let's all go do this thing, or like we're gonna, you know, go to so-and-so's apartment. But I feel like when you live alone, sometimes people just like naturally forget because you're not there and you're not like actively visible. So make a point with your friends, or even if you're making new friends, to really actively put yourself out there and involve yourself, and maybe even be the one creating the plans. I know it's tough and I know it's really hard, especially I'm pretty extroverted, so once again, something I don't really struggle with. I feel like I'm always like trying to make plans for myself, but if you are someone that's naturally like a homebody and you just like want to stay home all the time, this is something you're gonna have to work on. If you want to see people, of course. Like if you're just a genuine homebody and you're like, I don't care about seeing anybody, like do your thing. But if you want to actively maintain relationships, friendships, whatever it may be, you might have to put in a little bit of extra work. Also going along with this one, I'm constantly, in terms of like the background noise, yeah, like podcast, YouTube, but also I'm always calling my friends. Prior to this point in my life of like living alone, I never would FaceTime. That was like so bizarre to me. I was like, why do I need to FaceTime someone? I always like saw people doing it, but I would always just text them. Like I never saw the purpose of it. But now I'm constantly on the phone catching up with my friends from college, friends from social media, or just family in general, whatever it may be. I look forward to it, and honestly hours could pass and then you realize like, oh wow, I've been on FaceTime with this person for 2 hours. But it's kind of nice because it feels like you get the satisfaction as if you just hung out with someone, but you don't necessarily have to. It also just like leaves you more connected, which I know it's easy to feel disconnected when you live alone. Like I said, you could just feel like out of the loop with your friends, and it can be kind of difficult. So like definitely put yourself out there. Stay busy and keep yourself doing things. I think it's so easy. This is like a working for yourself or just work from home tip in general, because no one's on your back like, hey, you know, do this thing, or like you have to make your bed, you know, you have to. So you have to kind of hold yourself to those standards and hold yourself accountable, I guess. It will take some time maybe to get into a rhythm of it if that's not something you're used to. If you're not like a regimented person, it's not that you have to be in this crazy routine. Like I don't really have a routine because you have no one around. You know, like when I had roommates, people would be like, okay, Brooke, like you've been sitting in front of the TV for many hours. Like, are you gonna do some work today? Versus now I obviously am by myself. So I feel like no one's like doing that for me. No one necessarily knows what I'm doing all day. Of course, like I'm usually vlogging it, but you know what I mean? I also feel so much more fulfilled when I do things like cook myself a healthy dinner, or work out, or just like have a really productive day for myself, or even if it's just calling a friend, whatever it may be, just doing things in general like that brings me joy. Just like doing things, whatever it is that makes you happy. Definitely stay busy. It's hard. A lot of these tips also during, like, obviously apply them to the pandemic how you may. I'm not like going out and partying right now. It's a personal thing and I don't recommend that. I do a lot of my hangouts digitally these days. And then last up is just enjoy it, honestly. Some of the reasons why I love living alone. I don't have to wear a full set of pajamas to bed. I literally wear a t-shirt, no bra, and underwear. You know, I could wake up in the morning, go out in the living room, and I don't have to worry about what I look like. I personally love living alone because of what I do in social media. Sometimes I'm up like weird hours, you know, if I have a deadline, or just in general, like I could work at my own pace. You know, if I get a surge of energy at night and I want to record a video or a podcast, I can do that and I'm not disrupting anybody. I think those are like the kind of courtesy things that you do with roommates. Like you wear pants, and I mean, I don't know what your roommate dynamic is, but like that was mine. So I definitely do enjoy it for many of those reasons, and I know that it's like such a luxury and a privilege, so I really try to appreciate it so much, and just be thankful for these times and for how much I'm learning about myself, because I think you do learn a lot about yourself in terms of, you know, your personality and your habits and how you go about certain things that other people might not go about the same way. I would recommend it overall. I guess I didn't really address like the cons because this was more like the tips, but I feel like the obvious con is loneliness, responsibilities are all on you, and obviously the cost is significantly more to live on your own. But in general, if you can do it, I would recommend it, and that's really it. If you guys live alone or you know anybody that lives alone, comment below and give some tips. I think this is a lot of time. I guess we're like going into the fall now, so it's a big time for transition for a lot of people, whether that be that you're going back to school and living alone, or like you just graduated living alone, whatever it may be. So welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if it helped you out, and I will talk to you all in another one super soon. Bye guys.